Welcome to the Alabama Way, WPXH's public affairs program, providing a forum for local information and community support. If you'd like to be a guest on our program, please call us at 870-4404 or fax us at 870-0544.
Good morning, and thank you for being here with us on the Alabama Way. This morning, our studios were so excited that the Jimmie Hale mission is taking over our studios today. We're going to tell you about some of the rich history of the Jimmie Hale mission and the programs that it has to offer. Listen, we know the mission has been around for over 50 years, and it has a lot to say, and it has a lot of history. It has a lot of meaning. So we hope you enjoy this program that we bring to you today, because there's so much to learn about the Jimmie Hale mission. So you stay with us and enjoy this edition of the Alabama Way.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, or brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Criminal Minds on Ion Television.
Positively entertaining.
You're watching the Alabama Way on WPXH Ion Media.
A Band-Aid won't fix it. We are their first step, not their last stop. Our product is change lives. A hand up, not a hand out. They're homeless, not helpless or hopeless. These are some of the phrases that really sum up our philosophy at the Jimmie Hale Mission. Hi, I'm Tony Cooper, Executive Director of the Jimmie Hale Mission. Our mission purpose statement is to minister to the spiritual and physical needs of the men, women, and children in our community by sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. That pretty much sums up what we do. That really is inclusive of what the Jimmie Hale Mission is all about. The Jimmie Hale Mission was founded in March of 1944 by Jimmie and Jessie Hale. Jimmie, prior to that, was known as the town drunk. He went over 4 years without drawing a sober breath. One Sunday night, he was attending church at the Gospel Tabernacle, and when the invitation was given, James William Hale went forward and received Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior and became a changed man. Sometime after that, he was introduced to Miss Jessie Davis from Moundville, a school teacher. And then shortly after that, they got married. Jimmie wanted to found a place and have a place to minister to people on the street that were suffering and struggling with the issues of life like he had. He knew firsthand what it was like to be addicted, what it was like to be on the street, what it was like to be homeless, what it was like to be on the receiving end of unkind comments and stares. But he also knew what had changed his life, and that was inviting Jesus Christ into his life. And just like 2 Corinthians 5:17 says, he became a changed man. He became a new person. Old things are passed away, behold, all things have become new. Jimmie and Jessie Hale founded the first location of the mission as a storefront chapel. Matter of fact, it's kind of interesting The first location of the mission was the actual bar where Jimmie had sold his last drink as a bartender. You know, I know God is more interested in people than he is buildings, but God converted this bar into a storefront chapel, and that was the first location of the Jimmie Hale mission. For the next 8 months, you know, that's what happened. Jimmie and Miss Jessie worked there as a storefront chapel. Didn't have a kitchen to feed people, didn't have a shelter to house people, just had Bible studies, you know, and gospel services there, and would invite people off the street to come into that. It's interesting that 8 months later, in November of that same year, 1944, Jimmie passed away and went on to be with the Lord, leaving behind now Miss Jessie, a 27-year-old widow expecting their first child, and really no place of their own, and really no money coming in. It was very challenging. Miss Jessie is indeed our matriarch. It would have been easier for her to go back to teaching school, but she was a woman of faith. She wanted to continue the work that her and Jimmie had started, so she stayed the course. And for those next 10 years, it was very challenging, very difficult. She continued to pray, and God continued to meet their needs. She prayed that God would send a man, because this was a men's mission, and here you had a lady heading up a men's mission. So she recognized that a man needed to be a co-laborer with her and needed to be involved to come along and work side of her. And so 10 years later, in 1954, God sent a man named Leo Shapura. He was a student at Southeastern Bible College, and he began a part of the work there with Miss Jessie. And for the next 10 years, they were co-laborers. Starting in 1954, that's when they moved to the location on 3rd Avenue North and 24th Street. That's when we had our first kitchen and could start feeding people. Had a few beds, I think about 12 or 16 beds, and could start housing people, and remained at that location for probably the next 50-something years. We were there on the corner of 3rd Avenue North and 24th Street. And so that's when the people began to discover the mission. Churches got involved, volunteers came, businesses got involved, support started coming in. And so that's when the growth actually begun, was in 1954. And so for the next 36 years, Miss Jessie Hale, she later remarried and became Miss Jessie Hale Downs, and Brother Leo Shapur was co-directors, and God really blessed the ministry of Jimmie Hale Mission and the men's center that they had. Then in 1990, August of 1990, that's when God brought me to Jimmie Hale Mission, and it was time for Miss Jessie and Brother Leo. They felt the need to retire. And so God called me here, and I came and started directing the mission in 1990. There, the mission had five employees and had a 100-bed facility now there on the corners, I said earlier, of 24th Street and 3rd Avenue North. So since 1990, I've been here, and God has continued to bless the mission and grow the mission in a variety of ways. What we're going to show you in the remainder of our programs is the facilities of the Jimmie Hale Mission. Now the Jimmie Hale Mission is the umbrella name. Before, the Jimmie Hale Mission was just that men's center located on 3rd Avenue North. Now we have a variety of facilities that we're going to talk about. Our oldest and largest facility is the Shapuro Men's Center. It was named in honor, of course, of Leo Shapur, who invested and committed 36 years of his life there as co-laborer, as co-director with Miss Jessie. Now we're on a brand new campus. In 2007, we acquired some property through Birmingham City. We had 3.5 acres there on close to 2nd Avenue North and 35th Street, over near Sloss Furnace and Birmingham Waterworks. So, man, we were excited about that. There was the Old Thomas School location. Old Thomas School was one of the first African-American schools built by a man by the name of Mr. Rayfield. Mr. Rayfield was the first licensed African-American architect, in Alabama, and the second licensed architect in the country. He built and designed other things like 6th Avenue Baptist Church, 16th Street Baptist Church, Booker T. Washington Insurance, and a variety of things. He designed the Old Thomas School. So by the time we had it, the school had been closed for a number of years, and we needed to remodel there. So we converted the Old Thomas School into a 160-bed facility dormitory. Then we built additional buildings there. We have an additional chapel, the Jesse Hale Downs Chapel, that's a part of the Leo Shapur Men's Center. We built a multi-purpose building where we have a kitchen and dining room. We have a food pantry, of course. We have, I guess, a recreation room. And then we have an exercise room that's a part of and a day room that's a part of the multi-purpose facility. Also, we have a 2-story administration building and counseling building. It also houses our business office. The first floor of the admin education building is we have one of our learning centers that we'll talk about later. We also have counseling offices for the Leo Shapur Men's Center. On the second floor is where we have our business office. Where we have our administration people, our fundraising people, our development people, and those that really, our director of administration, our IT people. And so that makes up the business offices, which all of it is located on this 3.5-acre campus. We've nicknamed it our Back to Life University because it's like a campus setting that we have there. I never get tired of driving in to the new men's center, as I mentioned, where our business offices are located, and just seeing it there. It's just warm, it's welcoming, it's inviting. That's how come we've nicknamed it our Back to Life University. A lot of our guys there have already graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. Now they're enrolled in Back to Life University, where they're getting their lives back. And that's really what's going on at Jimmie Hale Mission, is people are coming in and getting their lives back, addressing different challenges and issues and problems that they need to work through, and we assist them, we help them with our staff, with our programs, with our services, and we come alongside of them and really help them address these issues that they have. Really, a Band-Aid won't fix it. And so, we work together with them to really help them work on issues that they need to work on and solve problems they need to solve so that they can indeed get their lives back. We say our product at Jimmie Hale Mission is change lives. And so that's what begins at our Brother Leo Shapur Men's Center. So besides having the dormitory, and we have classes, we have Bible studies there. We have one of our learning centers there where we do education, remediation, and job readiness. We really feel that we have a holistic approach. We address both the physical, because we start with a meal, we start with food, shelter, clothing, then we get into the emotional through counseling, and working with them to address those issues in their life. Then we get into the spiritual aspect, which a lot of other programs kind of ignore the spiritual aspect. It's the most important. You can't change a life without changing a person's heart. And you change a heart only through biblical teaching and spiritual truth and the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so we will always be a gospel rescue mission. That's what the Jimmie Hale Mission is, a gospel rescue mission. And so, and we're really excited about the Shapur Men's Center, which is now our oldest and largest, but certainly the newest shelter that we have. And we're just, God has continued to bless the Men's Center, and then we'll have some other facilities that we'll talk about as our program continues.
Recycling works for me.
Recycling works for me. Recycling works for me.
Recycling works for me.
Criminal Minds on Ion Television.
Positively entertaining.
You're watching The Alabama Way on WPXH Ion Media.
Hi, I'm Tony Cooper, Director of the Jimmie Hale Mission. On our last segment, if you missed it, we kind of talked a little bit just about the history of Jimmie Hale Mission. Then we spent a little time talking about our men's center, our Shapiro Men's Center, which is our oldest and largest facility. Now we want to spend a little time talking about our second facility, which was our first expansion project after I came in 1990. It's called the Royal Pines Center. Royal Pines is located in the Bangor area of Blount County, I guess close to Hayden and Garden City there. We're on 73 acres. We're a rural setting, and I'm an old country boy, so I really like the country. We have a 40-bed facility there, and at Royal Pines, we take a biblical approach to substance abuse. We're kind of a 12-step biblical program. That's what we use, teaching the Bible, looking at what the Bible says about addiction and challenges and issues and problems that we have in our life, and looking at a biblical solution to how a person overcomes substance abuse. Royal Pines, as our program there, consists, as you can imagine, of Bible studies. We have books that we use, 10 Basic Steps Towards Christian Maturity. So we'll have every weekday, we will have a Bible study class. We will have Conquering Chemical Addiction classes. You know, we will have Overcoming Darkness and looking at the bondage, spiritual bondage and different things that people have become subject to, and how do you break free from the bondage breaker. You know, that's another class that we teach there. We have a good staff there. We have counselors there. You know, we have volunteers that come in. And so we're really excited about Royal Pines Center of the Jimmie Hale Mission. We opened it in 1995. That was our first, as I mentioned, our first expansion project after I came in 1990. We already had the property, but we didn't have the money to expand. And God sent us some volunteers from different churches that came, and really most of the labor there was from mission groups from different churches in the area. God provided the money to provide the materials, but the volunteer was provided, as I said, from mission organizations and churches locally. And that was fun. I was there. I got kind of introduced to putting on a roof, you know, and learn how to be a part of that. And it was an exciting time. I can remember when the building was complete and we had our dedication service in November of 1995. I remember getting there early on a Sunday and just walking through, and it just brought tears to my eyes to see how God had raised up this facility, because a lot of missions around the country have rural settings, and you can kind of get people out of the distraction of downtown and get them out in the country, and it's just more relaxed and more serene, quiet setting, and so I just enjoy having that aspect, that rural setting at Royal Pines. A story that I always like to tell about Royal Pines is it's a 16-week residential program. And when we get to the end of the program, we have a very informal yet meaningful graduation service. So each client that has finished 16 weeks, we recognize them, as I said, in a recognition service. And a part of that, the other peers on the program get to congratulate them and just compliment them, because it takes a lot to put in 16 weeks, and to really work on some challenging issues and to make a new start, if you will, and begin a change in your life. And so at the end of that, we want to recognize those people. And then they get to share their testimony of how God has blessed them during their time at Royal Pines. If they have family, certainly we invite family to come and be a part of this graduation service. They're presented with a Bible, presented with a certificate. And and then the parents get to present that to them. Then the parents, at the end of the service, the parents get to share how proud they are of their client who's just completed this program and has hopefully made a new start in life. This one service, there was a couple there that were parents of the son who was graduating. And so, these other things had happened. The son had given his testimony. Other people had congratulated him. He'd been recognized. So it was time for the family to present the certificate to their son and just share with them how proud they were of him. And the dad was just a good old country boy like myself. He's a tomato farmer. And he really got overwhelmed with emotion. And he wasn't used to that. He got choked up and he just really could not speak. And so he kind of embarrassed by that. So he took a step back. So the mom stepped up and kind of filled in and presented the son with the certificate and told their son how proud they were of him. But I kept looking at the dad because I knew he was so proud of his son and he wanted to say something in appreciation and congratulations of his son. So I kept my eye on him. And finally, you could see him swallowing, seeing him trying to compose himself, And finally, he had done that. And to get the attention of the Royal Pines director who was in charge of the service, he raised his hand like this with his index finger to get the attention. And I looked over at my wife who was sitting beside me, and I said, baby, hold on, because I don't know what he's going to say, but it's going to be good. And then he took a deep breath, he swallowed, he put his hand around his son, and he says, a quote, he says, I thank God for using Royal Pines of the Jimmie Hale mission to give me my son back. And at that point, he began to cry. The tears came. The emotion was just there. He and the mom and the son are hugging and crying. I'm crying. And I looked around, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. And I leaned over to my wife, and I pointed to the guy graduating and to the family, and I said, that's why we do what we do. That exemplifies why we put forth this effort, why we raise this money, why we have dedicated and committed staff and volunteers that come, and why God provides the resources to really, because it's all about people, coming to know Christ and then recovering from whatever issues or problems they have. Royal Pines mostly is substance abuse, whether it be drug addicts, whether it be alcoholics, whether it be people struggling with meth, cocaine, heroin. Sin is not a respecter of persons. And so there, but by the grace of God, go I. You hear that a lot, and that. So Royal Pines helps us work with people by sharing the gospel that changes their heart, changes their life. And that's how come the father could say as he hugged his son, I thank God for using Royal Pines of the Jimmie Hale mission to give me my son back. So now, do we have success stories from everybody that comes in? No, of course not. It's just kind of like life. But thank goodness we do have a lot of stories that we can share with you of changed lives and where God is at work. And problems are being solved, needs are being addressed, hurts are being healed, families are being reunited, and individuals, their self-esteem is growing, and indeed they are getting their lives back. So when they leave, they can leave different than when they came. They can go back to being self-sufficient and productive. Just this month, we have a guy that graduated, and he was reunited with his family. Before that, he was estranged, but now he's reunited, and he said he was so glad that this month he was able to walk his daughter down the aisle at her wedding. Before that, he wouldn't even have been invited to the wedding. But since then, God has put that family back together. And now his daughter is proud of him again, and he was there to support her and give her away at the wedding. That's just some of the good things that are happening at Royal Pines of the Jimmie Hale mission.
Open your heart.
Open your home.
Open your heart.
Open your home.
Open your heart.
Open your home. Open your heart.
Open your home.
Become a foster or adoptive parent.
To find out more about becoming a foster or adoptive parent, call 1-866-4AL-KIDS.
Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That changed my life.
At that moment, it hit me. This is why I joined the Guard. We're soldiers, always ready to protect our country. But we've also got communities. Family, friends, neighbors who count on us. I couldn't believe it. I just saved a life to somebody from my hometown.
See what it means to be a citizen soldier at NationalGuard.com.
You're watching The Alabama Way on WPXH Ion Media.
Hi, I'm Tony Cooper with the Jimmie Hale Mission. Here we've been talking about the kind of the history of the Jimmie Hale Mission, and then now we're exploring some of the different facilities that we have at the Jimmie Hale Mission. We've talked about our Shapura Men's Center, which is our oldest and largest facility. We've talked about Royal Pines Center, which is our country rural setting up in Blount County near Hayden and the Bangor area, which is our substance abuse recovery program where we take a biblical approach to addiction. And on this segment, we're going to talk about Jesse's Place, which is our shelter for women and children. See, the fastest growing population of new homeless are families, primarily single moms with children. Years ago when I first came, we didn't have a shelter for women and children, and we'd have a lot of people calling us or coming to us that had a need for that. And finally, we decided, since there wasn't enough shelters, there were a few other women and children shelters, but they were always full. There was always a need there. And what you don't want to do is duplicate services just to have your own. You want to make sure there's a need. That's what we do at Jimmie Hale Mission, is when we see a need, then we pray and see if God wants us to address that need. And Jesse's Place was how we responded to the need for an additional shelter for women and children. We opened it in, I think, around March or April of 1998. And so we've been there, what are we in, our 16th year now? And God has really blessed Jesse's Place. There we, kind of like our men's center, kind of like Royal Pine Center that we talked about. We have a great staff there. We have programs, we have Bible studies, we have counseling sessions, we have case managers, we have programs for the children, we have volunteers that come in that teach the Bible studies, and we have chapel services there. And so we're really excited about now that we have our own shelter for women and children. When our business office used to be there at Jesse's Place before we grew and then moved it to another location and kind of needed the space that we were taking up there for Jesse's Place. But I remember a story. There was a little boy. His name was Chris, a little 5-year-old boy. He was the cutest little fellow you ever seen. His mom was expecting another child, and he and his mom were in the playroom, which was right across from the office. And see, the children were told not, they could go to the library, they could go to the play area, but really they shouldn't be coming to the business office. So he and his mom were in the playroom across the street from the business office, and she got called away to the phone, and so he was there in the playroom all by himself. And so what he did, he kind of looked around. Kids get bored, little 5-year-olds, inquisitive mind. And see, he was told, hey, you should not go in the business office. So what happens when you tell a little 5-year-old that he shouldn't do something? He wasn't rebelling. It just he became inquisitive. So I was kind of watching him out of the corner of my eye. And he came to the corner of the playroom. He looked one way, he looked the other way to make sure the coast was clear, and then he looked at the business office. And he kind of eased across, and he got to the door of the business office, and he kind of looked around to see why he wasn't supposed to be there, So eventually he just kind of got enough courage, and he stepped into the business office. a staff member who was at the computer wasn't paying any attention. Then they saw little Chris come into the business office. And they looked at little Chris, not to scold him, not to hurt his feelings, not to reprimand him, but just to remind him. They said, Chris, okay, what are you doing here? Meaning, why are you in the business office? Now, you're not supposed to be here. Kind of go back over to the playroom. See, but when Chris heard the question, what are you doing here? He didn't interpret it as why he was in the business office. He thought the question was why he was at Jesse's place. And immediately he responded to the question, why are you here? You know, he said, he looked around and he says, why I live here. You know, and he looked back at the staff member kind of like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And I say that story, I tell that story because, you know, Chris was comfortable, you know, for this time in his life that was challenging for him and his mom and his family. He felt at home. He felt comfortable. And that's what we like. See, Jesse's place for the women and children that come is really a temporary home, and we become a temporary family for them. And so we help them get back on their feet. We help moms meet the conditions of DHR so they don't lose their kids and can keep their families together. You know, we help them, you know, through our learning center to learn how to and to prepare them for a career and job readiness so they can leave with a job and they can leave being self-sufficient and independent like they want to. And Jesse's Place provides them an opportunity to do that. When I think of Jesse's Place, I think of another story. Anytime, you know, a mom or a lady or a family comes in, they have to do an interview. And the interview is not to keep them out. The interview is to let them know, you know, what kind of program we have and what the rules and policies are, and make sure they're comfortable with that and they understand, you know, what they need to abide by. That's only fair to them. And so if they're not happy with our program, then we will refer them to another shelter where they might be more happy or, you know, or more suitable for them. So this mom pulled in. She had twin sons and an older girl. The sons were probably about 8 years old, and the daughter was probably about 10 years old or so. So a staff member took the mom in for the interview process to kind of let them know what Jesse's Place was all about, what we could help them with, what we could provide for them. And another staff member took the kids into a playroom and just spent some time with them while the mom was being interviewed. When the mom came out, the kids saw their mom and they ran up to their mom. And they said, this was the question. They said, Mom, do we get to stay here tonight? Or do we have to sleep in our car again? Okay. So the good news is they didn't have to sleep in their car anymore. They found a temporary home at Jesse's Place where we took them in. They were secure at Jesse's Place. You know, we provided the basic needs, food, shelter, clothing. Then we added to that, kind of like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You begin with the basic needs, then you build on that. That's what we do at Jimmie Hale Mission. You know, I mentioned a holistic approach that we take to homelessness and poverty and addiction and recovery. You know, it's just that. So we start with the basic needs, then we build on those. And a case manager and counselor start working with the ladies there and start working with the children there through counseling and Bible studies, you know, and helping them start making plans and goals for the future so that when they can leave and go out and get a place of their own, go out and go back to work, having the necessary funds to come in to meet the needs that they have. That's what's so exciting about Jesse's Place, is people like little Chris who can say, well, I live here. You know, this is my home right now. And they're getting the love and support and encouragement that they need, so as I said earlier, so they can leave different than when they came. And just like the mom with the 3 kids, she went on and got her a degree in medical technology and went to work at one of our local hospitals here. The kids this been a number of years ago, the kids have already graduated now, and they're doing well. And there's lots of stories like this from either single ladies or single moms with children that's come through Jesse's Place that we've been able to reach out to in Jesus' name. Remember, I said earlier, you know, our mission purpose statement is to minister to the spiritual and physical needs of the men, women, and children in our community by sharing the gospel of Christ and then providing the additional services. Just like Jesus did, in the New Testament. He met people where they were, and he met their basic needs. He fed people, he healed people, he helped people, then he told them about a new way of life that could really help them not only for now, but for eternity. We're so happy to have Jesse's Place, which is a part of our Jimmie Hale Mission family of services.
Recycling works for me.
Recycling works for me.
Recycling works for me.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, or brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
You're watching The Alabama Way on WPXH Ion Media.
Hi, I'm Tony Cooper with the Jimmie Hale Mission, and what we've been talking about in previous segments is really the family of ministries of the Jimmie Hale Mission. We started off by talking a little bit about our history, about how we were founded. Then we talked about our oldest and largest facility, the Shapura Men's Center. Then we talked about our first expansion project, which was Royal Pine Center, which is our substance abuse recovery program up in Blount County. Then last segment, we talked about Jesse's Place, our shelter for women and children. And, and God loves everybody, but I'm so happy that we have a place now for families and women and children, not just men. Yeah, the men's important, but I'm glad we kind of rounded it out by having Jesse's Place, a shelter for women and children. We're going to kind of continue that theme on this segment, talking about children. We're going to talk about discovery clubs. Discovery Clubs is kind of the baby ministry of Jimmie Hale Mission. This was a ministry that was already in existence before we adopted it and took it into our family of ministries under Jimmie Hale Mission. It was founded by John Glasser, who founded Better Basics, which is used in a lot of our school system now. It's kind of a volunteer thing that comes in and alongside of our schools, and it's really got a good reputation. It kind of enhances our school program, Better Basics. But he saw a need of having kind of a Christian form of Better Basics, and it's called Discovery Clubs. Discovery Clubs are after-school Bible clubs in public elementary schools. I'll say that again. After-school Bible clubs in public elementary schools. To me, that's awesome. My wife and I were supporters of Discovery Clubs, and what we were seeing through the newsletters that we were getting, that Discovery Clubs, one, needed more volunteers and needed funding. And so we prayed about it, our board prayed about it, the board of Discovery Clubs prayed about it. We approached them and said, hey, how would you like to come under the umbrella of Jimmie Hale Mission? And so that's what they did. I think in February of 2012, they came a part of Jimmie Hale Mission. And see, after-school Bible clubs, they're like Sunday school classes. It's 1 hour a day, 1 day a week during the 23 weeks that school is in session. And what you'll see is it's a 60-minute class. We'll tell Bible stories just like you do in Sunday school or Vacation Bible School. We'll play games. We'll sing songs. You will have snacks, got to have snacks. You know, for the kids, they look forward to all of it, but it's very volunteer driven. And so you'll see we'll use at least 4 volunteers per every club. You say, well, how can you have a Bible club in a public elementary school? Well, number one is after school program. Back in, I think it was 2001, I think the Supreme Court ruled if you have any kind of after school program, then you can't discriminate against religious programs or Christians programs. So that's what motivated Mr. John Glasser to start promoting discovery clubs in our public elementary schools. Now, it's after school, okay, and it's strictly voluntary. It has to have parental permission. And the schools love us, the parents love us, the kids enjoy it. So it really is a win-win situation for everybody. What we're doing there is teaching Bible stories and teaching biblical truth. No, we're not preaching at kids. We're not scaring kids. We're not beating kids over the head with the... No. It's as you can see on video, it's a very fun type setting. Kids are having a blast. Volunteers are having a blast. But yet we're helping establish character. We're helping lay a foundation for a child to build their life on, so that 10 or 15 years from now, you know, they've laid a foundation and are making good choices and right choices, so they aren't visiting my shelter at Jesse's Place or Royal Pine Center or the Men's Center. So that's why I get excited about Discovery Clubs. We're in 32 schools. We have over 100 clubs in these 32 schools, because the clubs, as you can see, are small groups. You know, about 8 to 10 kids maybe, and we'll have boys will be with the boys and girls will be with the girls, and there may be a variety of clubs, as you can see, in one school. The challenge is something for you to pray about. The challenge is more schools want us involved. We could be in more schools, but it requires volunteers. The challenge is most of these clubs are conducted at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so, you know, if you have people working, then they're usually at work, and it's hard to get off for that. If you have even moms that are stay-at-home moms, they usually have kids coming home from school, so, you know, they can't participate like they want. But I know there are people out there, retired people, senior adults, or others that are able to have that, you know, that time 1 day a week. And so just pray about that and pray that God will send us more volunteers so that we can be in more schools around the Birmingham metropolitan area. The good news is that even though we're not in the schools during school time, we're seeing the same kids. We see about an average of 1,000 plus kids a week that we're helping share God's love with them and helping establish a foundation, as I said, and establish character in their life to help them make good choices. I get excited about, as you can see, about Discovery Clubs. It's such an opportunity that we have. We view it as a preventive arm of Jimmie Hale Mission. Like I said, let's get to them early. Let's reach them early so they don't make some of the bad choices and bad decisions that get them in trouble down the road where they have a need to come to one of my shelters. I'll tell you a quick story about Discovery Clubs. Back a couple of years ago, remember we was having a lot of bad tornadoes, bad weather come through. And this little boy that had attended Discovery Clubs, he went home, and his family, they were not attending church any place. They really didn't have a lot of spiritual activity in their home. And so, but now then, buddy, it was tornado warnings were out. Bad weather was coming. They lost their electricity. And the little boy and the family, they were kind of huddled together. And the little boy said to his mom, he said, "Okay, Mom, let's join hands and let's pray." And so that's what we do in Discovery Clubs. He had learned that in Discovery Clubs. He had learned that in the Bible, you know, you need to pray and talk to God, and God can step in and help. God can respond to prayer. God can protect you. And so their family, which was not a praying family, you know, God used this situation And this family, they joined hands, dark in their home, bad weather outside, tornado, coming in their direction, and they prayed. And the mom wrote a little note to us at Discovery Clubs saying how much that impressed her, and God used that. Now, not only do they appreciate Discovery Clubs, now they're involved in church, and they're a family that's having some Christian emphasis, and God is blessing their family through Discovery Club. And to me, I would encourage churches out there. That's the reason we need churches involved with us, because, see, through Discovery Clubs, you can reach the kids and then, get involved in those schools, those kids that are in your community, and then as a church, through Discovery Clubs and the kids, reach out to the families that are there and then get them involved in your church. Buddy, our country desperately needs revival. We need to repent and return, to our faith that our country was founded on. We were founded on Judeo-Christian values, and what Discovery Clubs is doing is helping us reestablish and even introduce, Bible stories and Judeo-Christian values and spiritual truth so that people can have a foundation that will withstand the storms of life. So that's the reason, not only at Discovery Clubs, but through our other facilities, we are Christian-based. We have chapel services and Bible studies, and we just share the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so that's what Discovery Clubs is reaching kids with the gospel and hopefully reaching families with the gospel and keeping families together. So that's the reason I get excited about Discovery Clubs. You can go online. And if you have some time, God is speaking to you, or you want to get more information, or want to get involved and be involved in Discovery Clubs, we need you. We need volunteers to reach more kids, be in more schools, and have more clubs so that we can help them to better themselves. We're really excited about our Discovery Clubs of the Jimmie Hale Mission.
Open your heart.
Open your home.
Open your heart.
Open your home.
Open your heart.
Open your home. Open your heart.
Open your home.
Become a foster or adoptive parent.
To find out more about becoming a foster or adoptive parent, call 1-866-4AL-KIDS.
Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
You're watching The Alabama Way on WPXH Ion Media.
Hi, I'm Tony Cooper with the Jimmie Hale Mission. In our previous segments, we've talked a little bit about our history. We've talked about some of our different facilities. The Shapura Men's Center, Royal Pines Center, and then Jesse's Place, our shelter for women and children. In the last segment, we talked about Discovery Clubs, which are after-school Bible clubs in public elementary schools. Right now, we want to spend a little time talking about our Stewart Learning Centers. In each of those three shelters I mentioned, our Men's Center, Royal Pines Recovery Center, and Jesse's Place, all of them have learning centers where we do education remediation and job readiness. And so, an assessment is done, it's individualized, it's focused. A person comes in and we can establish where they are at their educational level. Then we have a software program that kicks in and helps them advance and improve their education. Education and employment are two keys to being successful in life, and our learning centers address both of those. As I said, we do education remediation and job readiness. Last year we had 30 people acquire their GEDs through our learning centers. We've really had people that came in functionally illiterate and learned how to read at our learning centers. We've also helped people find jobs. Since 2006, we've helped over 1,000 people find employment and get back to work. Work is a key. People used to say, why don't you just get a job? And we say, yeah, we agree with that. We're helping them to become employable, not only where they can get a job, most of them have had jobs, but to keep a job. So yes, we're helping people get employed, get back to life. We have a holistic approach, and then we're helping them with their education. I mentioned two guys that I'm familiar with that have actually learned how to read at Jimmie Hale Mission Learning Centers. One day I was sitting in my office, and one person came and knocked on my door, okay? And I was busy. He says, Tony, I want to read the Bible to you. And I'm sitting there going, with Jimmie Hale Mission, we believe in reading the Bible. but I'm busy. I can read. I'm thinking I can read the Bible myself. I don't need somebody reading the Bible to me. But I could tell by the expression on his face that this was important to him. So I said, okay, sir, come on in. And he sat down across the table from me, and he started reading the Bible. John 14, verses 1 through 6. You might be familiar. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. Now, it's where Jesus is talking to his disciples, telling them, hey, he's going to leave them, but he's going to go and prepare a place for them and come back and get them. So as he started reading, though, he was reading very slowly, and he was struggling and very deliberately, and he was just having a hard time putting his words together. But I sat there just patiently listening to him. And as he got to the end of verse 6, he stopped, and he said, Tony, the reason I wanted to read my Bible to you is because when I first came to Jimmie Hale Mission, I couldn't read. And that just blew me away. This guy now, not only did he learn how to read, now he's on my staff. We hire a lot of people that are former clients that come to our staff. They come on staff with us. Talking about, kind of helping people get back to life. That same week, another guy came and knocked on my door. And he said, Tony, he said, I've been here 13 months because sometimes it takes a while for people to really get reestablished. He says, I've been here 13 months. And he says, I'm leaving. I just wanted to thank you for how God has blessed me and how he's used the Jimmie Hale Mission to do that. He says, I've just purchased my first home. Well, I thought that's awesome, going from homeless to homeowner. And so I love sharing those stories, those testimonies, because that's really what it's about at Jimmie Hale Mission, is helping people, get their GED so they can go on, or learn how to read so they can function, or helping them get back to work so they can have the income necessary to meet needs in their life. So, so that's just, in each of our shelters, we have the learning centers that do that. At Jesse's Place, they have their own learning center. At Royal Pines, it has its own learning center where we can help people address educational needs that they have and employment needs that they have. So you can pray with us about that, and we're looking for employers, and so if you want to do like we do, you want to hire graduates from our program, then give us a call, and we'll kind of see if we can find you somebody, that we can get back to work at your business or your place of work, okay? So now then, we're going to kind of slide into bargain centers. We have a number of bargain centers in the Birmingham metropolitan area. Bargain center, we call them Mission Possible Bargain Centers. These are our thrift stores, our fundraising thrift stores. And here we say, get a bargain and give a blessing. See, because when you come, we have quality merchandise at affordable prices. And so when you come, you can find really quality stuff. We call it gently used. You hear that a lot today. Gently used items that are still usable, still sellable, still have some use left in them. And so, go to our website or give us a call, and we can let you know which of our bargain centers is closest to you. We have several in the Birmingham area, but also we need your donations. We need your gently used items of clothing and furniture and household items and miscellaneous merchandise to donate to us, because you got to have merchandise to sell. But so give us a call. You can get a tax receipt on that, and then we have stuff to sell to people that don't have money to buy new stuff. So even our bargain centers have a ministry of their own. They're providing quality merchandise at affordable prices. And so they're helping people stretch their dollar. A lot of people, in our downturned economy, just having a tough time economically. And so our bargain centers are ministering to them. Also, we have a benevolence program called Corners of Your Field, where we partner up with churches and are looking into partnering up with some schools. So give us a call. If you have donated items, we'll come pick it up. You get a tax receipt. We sell it in our stores. People that need to purchase, affordable items can do it without spending a whole lot of money. And then the income, all the profit goes back into Jimmie Hale Mission, so everybody wins on that. So we're really excited, about our Mission Possible Bargain Centers.
Recycling works for me.
Recycling works for me.
Recycling works for me.
I've really enjoyed just sharing with you about the Jimmie Hale Mission. I'm so thankful that you've tuned in to learn more about the Jimmie Hale Mission. And in our program, we just shared with you a little bit about the history of the mission, our different programs and facilities. We talked about our Men's Center, our Royal Pines Recovery Center, our Jesse's Place for women and children, Discovery Clubs, which are after-school Bible clubs in public elementary schools, our Stewart Learning Centers where we do education remediation and job readiness. We mentioned our Mission Possible Bargain Centers, which are fundraising thrift stores. And so that's pretty, all those things encompass, the Jimmie Hale Mission now. If you would like to know more about just more information or how to get involved, just want to mention again our phone number. It's area code 205-323-5878, or go to our website. That's where a lot of people get information there. It's Jimmie with an I-E, Jimmie, JimmieHaleMission.com. If you choose to give, we have a secure donation page there, or you can just get more information about all of these things that we've talked about in this program. So I really appreciate you taking time out to share the time with you. It's been an honor on my part, and may God richly bless you.
The farther backward you can look, the farther forward you will see.
We have enough to narrow our list of suspects.
We're looking at less than 12 hours to have to find this one.
Exactly what his time is.
Hey, Hutch, we don't know anything.
He wants them to know that no matter what, he can still get to them.
Get caught up in Criminal Minds, weeknights on ION Television.
Positively entertaining.
Open your heart.
Open your home.
Open your heart.
Open your home.
Open your heart.
Open your home. Open your heart.
Open your home.
Become a foster or adoptive parent.
To find out more about becoming a foster or adoptive parent, call 1-866-4AL-KIDS.
Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
We hope you enjoyed our program today about the Jimmie Hale Mission. Listen, what a rich history the Jimmie Hale Mission has had in our community. Hey, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again here on The Alabama Way.
Thank you for watching The Alabama Way. The views expressed in this program were solely those of the guests and not of the station. For questions or comments, write to us at 2085 Golden Crest Drive, Birmingham, Alabama, 35209, or fax us at 205-870-0544.